gypsy to the Hollywood glow. Bill Duke's story is one that everyone should know. In the heat of the struggle where the legends are born, he rose like a phoenix through every storm. Rise, Bill Duke, to the rhythm of the night, with a soul full of power and a heart burning bright. On the walk of fame, your name in lights. Rise, Bill Duke, a beacon in our sight. Ooh, from the silver screen to behind the lens, he broke down the barriers time and again. With every seat, every line, every role he embraced, Bill Duke, the trailblazer, no dream misplaced. Rise, Bill Duke, to the rhythm of the night, with a soul full of power and a heart burning bright. On the walk of fame, your name in lights. Rise, Bill Duke, a beacon in our sight. From the groove of the funk and the soul's deep beat, Bill Duke's journey no challenge could defeat. From the shadows he emerged, shining so clear, an anthem of triumph for all to hear. Ooh, ooh. Rise, Bill Duke, to the rhythm of the night, with a soul of power and a heart burning bright. On the walk of fame.
This is the show where real OGs chop it up with a real OG. Today's guest, I'd be here for hours trying to explain and talk about his background. His name is Mr. Bill Duke. How you doing, sir?
God bless you, brother. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. What was it like in your childhood?
Well, from the social side, my first day in school was in kindergarten. Everybody was asked to stand up and say their name, and I did that. At lunchtime, I said, my name is Bill Duke. And at lunchtime, at the lunch table, because I was the only black child in the kindergarten class, the other kids would say to me, they would mock me, and they would say, everybody stand up and say their name. And a little white guy stood up to me and stood up, and he was me, and he says, my name is Bill. And they said, Bill what? Bill nigger. But from the family side, my sister and I were rebellious. We deserved I'm sorry to say it, every whooping we got, we deserved. And one day we got a whooping, and we were so rebellious, we decided to run away.
Oh yeah, that worked out, didn't it?
We were so stupid, we ran away to the attic.
You ran completely away.
In high school, I hated every white person I saw. But I was tall, dark, not very popular, and I wrote in a journal my feelings. And I used to write it in my English class. And Miss Walker, the English teacher, told me, I went to class, you couldn't read my journal and just pay attention to the class. I ignored her, she was white, she was racist in my mind. So one day I was writing my journal, and she took my journal, snatched it from me, and told me to leave. I left, and I hated her. Next semester in the English class, she came back, gave me my journal, and gave me another book. I said, what is this? She said, open it. She had taken two of my poems and put them in a poetry contest.
You didn't even know she had read them.
No. Confused the hell out of me.
Did you win?
I know, but the fact that it was in a national poetry book. Wait a minute. Goes into his vest pocket, pulls out a check. I said, what's this? It paid for my board for the whole year. 2 years.
And you completed college.
Yes. So racism, it becomes complex
Yeah.
once that occurs.
Yes. You're confused. How did that happen? Okay.
That's the truth.
You live these experiences. You have this moment with your teacher, this gentleman, due to conversation, this white gentleman, help you to stay in the school. But this is happening in Boston University. Well, now, that wasn't an easy place to get to.
I won a scholarship, and I got there, and I came back to Poughkeepsie and Dutchess Community College, and he was the president of Dutchess Community College, and he heard I was coming back, and so he gave me that money because he said he believed in me. And
that created some dilemma. Here's a white man believing in me, and I hate white people. You come into another experience, the news flashes. There's George Floyd. How does that affect your mind? Does it take you back in time?
affects my soul. Shows you how much things have not changed.
I remember hearing you say that your grandparents, I believe, were slaves.
They weren't slaves, but they went through a slavery period. Mm-hmm. They saw things that they should not have seen.
Exactly. I kind of had that experience in my life. My grandparents were, and my parents were from Carthage, Mississippi, in the Delta. They would tell me stories, and I would just look at them like, you're not serious. Did you get that from your grandparents or parents?
Well, they didn't like to burden us with what they had gone through. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they would let us know, mm-hmm. because they wanted us to understand that we were not their shoulders, but standing on the shoulders of people who had gone through things that we could not imagine. Not even imagine.
I mean, a debt to be paid.
Yes.
My parents tell me some of the horror stories, and they would talk to me about how they pushed back some.
You may not agree with everything they had to say, but you learned everything they had to say.
They made you think.
They were courageous,
yes.
Courageous. And that courage gave me inspiration.
Thank you. Look at really you today. That's something to be reckoned with. If there's something that you would like to speak about, the movie project that you may be working on now.
There are a couple of projects, but Greenwood is the most immediate. Tressa Smallwood and her company have come to me with it. And Derek Stevens. Mm-hmm. And it's about Tulsa, Oklahoma, the massacre there.
Okay.
And the film does not focus on the massacre. What it focuses on is what causes massacres like this against us, mm-hmm. and our response to that. Not just anger.
Exactly.
Because anger, I understand the anger,
It's there.
but what are we going to do to change things?
Thank you. I need to experience that a little bit because we're talking about here you are getting ready to be the first Black director for Dallas. Had you already directed Falcon Crest yet?
No.
No. Dallas is the first. You're from New York, Poughkeepsie, New York. You're getting ready to direct Dallas. This is about as white of a world as you can get in.
Right.
Been there. Very good people, but it's a white world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's a Black man getting ready to translate their story. How do you set your mind for that?
One of the things that I was fortunate to have, Aida Tangamana was a good friend of mine, and she taught me something called transcendental meditation, which saved my life and still does today.
Beautiful.
And what it teaches is not only our differences, but our familiarities, our humanity. And you see all these wealthy people with power, and you ain't got to look far to see that they suffer too.
Exactly.
And once you know all that money and all that sham and all that cars and houses, that they still suffer too.
Exactly.
Our humanity is very familiar with all of us. But damn it, there's a distinction between being a mother and a father and a goddamn parent.
Yes.
But the audacity to blame everybody outside our community for all of the stupidity that we put upon each other is sinful.
I agree.
Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the show, because it's not a show of blame.
Exactly.
This is a show of insight.
Thank you.
And if we want to change things, we have to have the insight from a many times senior perspective.
Thank you very much.
That most people, particularly youngsters, won't listen to because we don't have dreads that are colored and we're not hip-hopping. But the thing is that at some point, I'm not saying that we don't make mistakes still.
Sure.
Don't say that because of our age, we are perfect. But we have been through a lot of the things and worse.
Thank you very much.
And worse conditions than some of these young folks are going through now. And they refuse to listen to us.
And I say to them, what we're dealing with, it's the same shit in a different box. We're not in a space today, I'm speaking for you and I at least, whereas we hate people because they come from people that have demised our history.
Right.
We're not in that space.
No.
We've grown on from that.
Yes.
But we have to face the reality that it did exist and that it was a human rights violation.
In many, many levels. And I think there are lessons that we can learn from history so we don't repeat.
Exactly.
And I don't know if this is true or not, but a friend of mine told me they're trying to take Black history out of school because it's making young white children feel guilty. We should never, ever forget the Jewish Holocaust. And we should never forget the Holocaust that's been imposed upon us.
I'm in total agreement.
And so I just feel that somehow we have to fight for ourselves, educate, and I'll say this again, take on a greater responsibility.
Thank you.
And I get in arguments with friends of mine all the time about this. They talk about, well, our children have been through so much. How can they fight back how can they take responsibility for their day-to-day activities and they don't have a father in the house? And we have these very heated
discussions.
I'll call them discussions. But they don't want us to take responsibility for anything. We need more people who will speak up, no matter what the results are from us speaking our true minds, from our experience, no matter how we are tossed away like irrelevant because we're not born in this period of time. Because how could we possibly understand what they are going through because we're in our 50s, 60s, or 70s.
Yeah, you think.
We're just ignorant, old savages that should shut up. I ain't shutting my damn mouth.
Wait a minute, that's what I used to say about my parents and my grandparents. You're just old. You don't know what you're talking about. It's a whole nother day and time. We do things differently. I want to say thank you. I can remember seeing you in Car Wash. That was so powerful. The character. See, I'm going to wrap it up with this. That guy back then was not a guy that was being exposed to society. And when you played that role, it gave me, and I think many others, a sense of courage.
Thank you.
A sense of being.
Thank you.
And it all came together so well when the elder gentleman had to really bring him back a little bit. Hey man, this ain't the way we do this, brother. I feel the same thing you feel, but I express it differently. See, that's powerful today.
Yes.
And you've become so many characters and you've given us so much. All I can say is, thank you, brother.
God bless you, man. Great show, great questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it. Thank you.
We honor you.
Honor you also, and thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this show. This was a legendary show being done with a legend across all walks of life. Thank you very much, not for doing the show, but for giving us your life. Thank you.
God bless you.
That's it. That's all.
We have created this show so that men and women alike can come forward and tell their truth. If you have people that you believe to be an OG, go into the comment section, write us, let us know where to find the history so that we can authenticate it, bring them on the show, tell their story so that we can add to the American history. That's it. That's all.
The original OG.